Hey everybody, my name is Kevin and welcome back to American Tackle Live Question and Answer. I am joined today by Austin Todd.
Hey everybody.
How you doing, Austin?
Doing good.
So on this, if you checked out the description on the page, we're going to get into some inshore fishing, which you know nothing about at all. You basically live inshore, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So Austin is one of our sales team guys here. He also helps out with a lot of questions. But we brought him in today to talk about some inshore stuff, so let's kind of get started on that. So specifically in Florida, what's kind of your go-to inshore location or technique or kind of that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I mean, like for me, I am like East Central Florida born and raised, so I've done a lot of, pretty much grew up fishing like the Florida Space Coast. And so a lot of the Indian River, the Mosquito Lagoon, the Banana River, which are a couple of different, they're kind of very unique fisheries that they're not a lot of tidal flow to them. Basically, there are certain spots as you go further north, further south that connect to the ocean, but otherwise there's very little tidal flow because of how so far they are away from an inlet. And so there's not a lot of water flow, not a lot of movement, and so a very unique place where it's one of the very few places in the United States that redfish will spend their entire life in this estuary, in this water body, without going to the ocean. That doesn't happen very often. Usually they school up, outside inlets, go out offshore. So it's a very cool fishery. What it's been known for the last probably 40, 50 years is it's known for crystal clear sight fishing for redfish, sea trout, some snook, some tarpon.
See, that's the thing I don't understand. The whole sight fishing thing, because I fish bass and you go offshore and you can't see anything because it's 600 feet down. But I've seen videos and some of the photos are insane because you see the drone footage of the guy over with the drone and you see a guy pulling a skiff because you have a skiff and you pull. And you see just a random fish out in the middle of the water and you are casting literally at their nose.
Yeah, basically, obviously people call it flats fishing, and so like for me, what I'm doing is I'm going out there in my boat. It's a little 16-foot polling skiff. I think it's got probably about a 50-inch beam. It's not very wide, and it's made for getting in water literally 4 or 5 inches, and it's made for me being up on the polling platform, polling along, looking for, you're basically in anywhere from, like I said, like 6 inches of water all the way to maybe like 2.5 feet, and you're specifically seeking out redfish, sea trout, snook that you can see, and usually casting some kind of artificial lure at them, a shrimp, like our AT rattling shrimp.
Yep.
But at the same time,
the most
swim
popular
baits.
thing ever.
The things about
popular.
It's very durable, which is nice. I've been out there with Don, one of our other reps here, and we're getting eaten alive by pufferfish, and they're taking our baits. We switched over to the rattling shrimp. They couldn't bite the tails off anymore. We could actually get to the trout.
There you go.
So they're very durable. They have the rattle where they get their name from. So that's another thing that kind of brings the fish to them. And on top of that, they're just that perfect weight and design for, sight casting anywhere from right off the front of the boat to, 20, 25 yards. And,
Perfect segue. Let's talk about distance and control and that sort of thing. So when you're building, because you build rods, just like everybody in this building does, and I keep learning from you guys about how to design. I'm actually working on a snook rod, and Austin's been helping me out with how to design that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But let's talk about guides, specifically guides. So we're known for our microwave line control system.
Yep.
How does a microwave line control system help in fishing for like an inshore type of setup?
Yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to it's going to help you building wise, and it's going to help you fishing wise. Building wise, they're so easy to build. You get that first two with the spinning guides, especially. You get those first two guides. You get that measurement, that guide spacing correct. Then the rest of the guides, all they're doing is maintaining the line anyway. So they're so easy to put on the rod. And then when you fish them, the nice thing about them is those first two guides. You're breaking down that line and you're capturing that line so quickly that the rest of your guides are all tiny guides, size 4s, 5s, 6s, depending on what microwave set you get. And so it's a much lighter rod, especially out towards the tip, which is nice when you're casting artificial baits literally all day. On top of that, it does help with accuracy. The way that I found that it helps with accuracy is you can basically back off from like 100%, like really trying to wing it out there. You can back off to about 80%, still cast that same distance, and with that 20%, that's where you can focus on being a little bit more accurate, which is huge with sight fishing. And you have a redfish crawling the shoreline, and you want to put it right here in front of him, and you want to bring it, because if you put it too far to the right, you're going to land it on him and spook the fish.
So let's talk about a specific one.
Yeah.
So the Microwave 20, I'm going to put this down so you guys can see it a little bit better. Patrick on camera number 2. So this is our Microwave 20. So why is it pair a 20 with?
So this is perfect for a lot of like what I do, which is usually a lot of like 3,000 size spinning reel tackle. This is perfect for that kind of thing, even 2,000, 2,500, 4,000s, all those types, throwing anywhere from 10 to 20 pound braid. This is perfect for that. This is what's designed for that size. It's perfect for going on the size blanks that would pair up with that reel. And so this is, like you said, this is the Microwave 20, which starts with a size 20 guide and then goes down to a size 6 secondary ring. And so that's where it's capturing that line. And then it goes down to, depending on what set you get, the normal one goes down to size 5 runners. And so that's, that's where you're going to have, accuracy.
Would you do a 5 size if you're doing leaders, or would you maybe go to like a 6?
So it depends. Like what I'm doing, especially like with redfish and trout, you're using like 16, 20 pound fluorocarbon leader. That's very easy to pass through a size 5 running.
Yeah.
But when I go and I do snook fishing or tarpon fishing, that kind of thing, I'm using 30 pound all the way up to 50 pound leader. You definitely want to have some. You want to have some bigger running guides.
And I will say, this is something that you guys should be thinking about when you do go fishing. It was something I had no idea about, where it's like you got to pass a leader knot. So if you're passing like an FJ or a uni to uni, which
FG,
or FG, sorry. Austin actually taught me how to tie a uni to uni. That was a fun 4.5 hours.
Taught a lot of people how to tie it at Bass Pro. So
I bet. But it's interesting because the first time I started messing with the microwaves was you would try to muscle it every time, because you're trying to get as much distance, because every time you cast anything else, you have to just hammer that cast.
Like I said, 100% cast, whereas this you can back off.
Yeah, you don't have to put as much effort, which if you're covering a huge amount of water, which pretty much every fisherman at this point does.
Yeah.
You're just trying to cover as much water as you can, unless you're sight casting like a sniper over here and just pulling out reds, which, by the way, we'll have Austin put up some photos of here, but the man has caught some reds. You've caught some big reds.
Yeah.
But the really cool thing about this is you can kind of, like you said, back off a little bit. But when you go to design your rod, you kind of have to think about these leader knots. You have to think about a little bit of the placement, how you're going to load it up. It's so just enthralling. But maybe you don't want to do a microwave. Maybe you want to go with something a little bit more traditional. So what would be kind of that traditional guide look that you might want to go with that still gives you good performance and that sort of thing?
I would say my first choice, and probably our second most popular guide, would be our TiForged Guides, our Snagless Guides. Like Kevin said, it's a little bit more of a kind of a traditional look, as you can see here. So
I'm not hiding, I promise. This board is just so big because it's such a great set of guides.
Yeah, so with these, with it being more your traditional style, so we have, and I think on the board here we start out with we have regular and high frame. Where you have 30s all the way down to, I think we have size 3 runners off the top of my head in the spinning and casting.
Yeah, right there, actually. Some 3s.
So we have that. So you have all those different options. Again, these are terrific for that. They're available in so many different finishes and ring materials. Whether it be black or whether it be not stainless, whether it be black or if it be polished is what I meant to say, and then as well as titanium and black titanium. And then you have nanolite, duralite, and then as well as if you're looking for maybe the real high-end side, the pentalite, which is just basically a much thinner, harder material that's only available in the titanium. But these are great as well for any of your inshore fishing, whether you want to start off with a 30 or a 25 or a 20. They do an excellent job.
And the nice thing is, these are not just an inshore kind of guide. No. You can use these for, actually, Don just put it in, he's got them on vertical jigging rods.
Yeah.
He's got, I've seen guys put these on offshore rods. I've seen guys mess with these with sailfish rods. Because they're so strong, but they're so light. So it's just, and it's nice if you're more of in that traditional look of the fishing rod that you like and you enjoy and you have that very simplistic setup. It's a great thing to go to. Super simplistic. Overall, one of my favorite guides.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, I've pretty much only mentioned spinning because we're talking more Florida inshore. I know, like the Texas, Louisiana market, the bait casting is huge, and there's a lot of bait casting options there as well. You know, the single foots as well as the smaller double foots. Start off with a double foot, 10, 8, 6, whatever it might be. They do an excellent job of being a stripping guide as well.
It's just such a good-looking guide. It really is such a good-looking
especially
guide.
like in that polished or that titanium.
Oh, I'm a fan of all titanium things at this point because it makes life easier.
Yeah.
So now that we've kind of like hit really kind of specific on those guides, let's talk about just building a Reds rod, right? We'll say, oh, there's some thunder. Sorry. If we black out on you, I apologize. We had some issues
Florida
earlier today. I know, it's crazy. But let's talk about building a rod for Reds, specifically for you. Right, we'll say it's Florida.
Okay.
We're going to do some inshore kind of style, pulling, short water. Are you going fly rod or are you going spinning rod?
Me personally, I'm more of a conventional fisherman, more of a usually a spinning rod fisherman. But a lot of the guys here that fish the same exact way I do. The cool thing about sight fishing is it's extremely similar to sight fishing with a spinning rod and or casting rod is extremely similar to fly fishing in that it's usually a much closer, you see the fish first because obviously at least with inshore fishing, guys with fly rods, people with fly rods aren't typically doing a lot of blind casting for inshore. There's
that's too much work.
Other things, but
you're going back and forth 40 times for one cast.
I do actually. I fish with a guy that does it in the middle of the night and with a rope behind him, and it's up real high, and he has to work. His hands are just worn, but he also
that's crazy.
While we were down in Southwest Florida for about a week, and I think he caught.
That's right, the trip.
I think he caught about 100 snook on a fly rod in about a 6-day period. So he was worn out.
This gives you a little insight into Austin. We had ICAST coming up.
Yeah.
It was coming up, and all of a sudden, Austin sends out an email. Everybody's like, all right, guys, I'm headed out. Everybody's like, all right, have a great trip. I'm new. I'm coming up on my 1 year, and I'm like, wait a minute, Austin, you're leaving right before ICAST? He goes, yeah.
Every year.
Every single year.
Full moon in June.
Full moon in June. This man travels down to South Florida and just goes fishing in the middle of the night.
Yeah, for big snook and a little bit of tarpon. You catch some trout and redfish, but mostly you're fishing for snook on the beach as well. So
this man loves his job.
I do.
So
no doubt about that.
Let's talk. We're popping in and out a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, if you guys know, we're going just to Facebook for this from here on out because we can put out a better quality. We're going to then upload this recording straight to YouTube. So if you didn't get a chance to see it on Facebook Live, follow us there. But also check out our YouTube channel where this whole episode will be published at least in the higher quality, so you guys can go on there and make comments. Austin will actually be hopping on our YouTube and our Facebook channel to answer some of your questions. So if you have some and we miss them, Austin will be on there to answer them.
I'll be patrolling.
Yeah. All right. So we figured out we're going to go spinning rod. What blank are you going to go with?
For me, the ones I use the most, I use a lot of Bushidos. I use a lot of the light saltwater series, whether it's like a 7-foot 8 to 15, 7.6 8 to 15. I use a lot of those. A lot of the spin jig blanks. Those are a little bit faster. I like typically a little bit faster blank myself, and so I'll go with those, like the 7-foot 2 6 to 12, 7-foot 2 8 to 15. Fish a lot of those. The mag bass, bless you.
Patrick in the background, everybody.
Allergies. MB73 8 to 15. That's another really good kind of all around blank.
Yep, I'm a big fan of that one.
And then if you want something maybe a little bit more moderate, I do fish a few of the CBs as well. 7.2 8 to 15, 7.8 8 to 15. Those are awesome blanks as well. It just kind of comes down to preference, how fast. How much power you're looking for, that kind of thing.
Don't put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Which one are you building?
Right now, what I have on the bench is I have a spin jig, 7-foot 2, 6 to 12 with the titanium microwave 20s that you just had.
That was my next question. What guy are you going to do? TiForged? You're going to go microwave 20?
Microwave 20.
What reel are you pairing with that?
Typically, that's probably going to be like a maybe like a size 3000, maybe like either a Shimano Sustain or a Vanford, something like that is typically what I'm using, because Don will probably hop in there and say that I'm the real snob.
I'm waiting for it. I was just gonna say something about it.
Like, people like bring me reels here, and they're like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's great."
Yeah. In the back of his head, he's screaming, going, "No!"
So I can be a little picky about my reels, so I'll typically use something like that. So, but usually, some of our 10 or 15 pound Bushido braid, our 8 carrier braid, absolutely love that.
And I will say, like, even though we're known for our rod components, our line is awesome. Like our braid and our fluoro. I mean, granted, it's won an ICAST award, and we're not really a fishing line company, which is funny. But I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the braid.
Our fluorocarbon is, and again, it's more of a main line, like mostly for like bass, for like freshwater fishing. It is next level.
Don Morris, I know we haven't gone to the questions yet. He goes, "Real snob" in all caps. But it's a wonderful little joke we have inside here, guys.
The fluorocarbon is next level. Like, literally, it's 100% Japanese fluorocarbon. It is like, I have guys that fish like big boy bass tournaments.
Yeah.
And they'll put it right up there with the best Seagar and Sunline, whatever, the Tatsu or whatever it is. Like, it is next level. Really good stuff.
And we have it in stock. So you should get that. Anyway, so let's talk about something, because every time we do this, we talk about product, we talk about specific guides or a blank. Next week, we're going to be talking to Alex Funky about blank selection and doing some flip and stick stuff, so make sure you tune in, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff. But I know something near and dear to most of us here, but you specifically, is conservation.
Oh, yeah.
So you've kind of grown up in short water, inshore kind of stuff, Mosquito Lagoon.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk about conservation in Florida specifically, right? So we're talking about, like, Mosquito Lagoon has been talked about a ton of times. The Everglades talked about a ton of times. So tell me, as an inshore fisherman, for you specifically, what does conservation mean for you? What is?
Oh, it's huge.
What are you looking for out of that sort of stuff?
we live in a state that is literally surrounded by it. I mean, surrounded by water, and if you don't have good, clean water, you're not going to have people that want to continue to come here, for touristry. But at the same time, I mean, we're the fishing capital of the world, and that's going to change. And so conservation is so big, making sure that not just our fish populations, but all of the water quality and all the ecosystems, just the smallest thing can set these ecosystems off.
What was it? And you went out fishing the other day and you were talking about seagrass.
Yeah, and so...
and it was just the most random thing.
Yeah, so, like, back to, like, kind of what I was saying at the beginning of the video is I'm, getting close to 30 years old. I've been fishing that pretty much that entire time here in Central Florida on the Space Coast, over by the SpaceX rocket that's still there. And I've been fishing there for years and years and years. And so I've seen in the last 7, 8, 10 years or so, seeing a severe drop off in the seagrass, which is, used to cover like 90% of the water here in the Mosquito Lagoon, the upper Indian River, and the Banana River. And again, it comes back to those are not very tide-oriented areas. And so the problems that we're seeing is, as people, as the land is built up around it, septic and sewage and, just runoff from people's yards, they're putting whatever kind of nutrients that are in the fertilizer that they use. Everything, when it rains, it goes into that water. And when you don't have a constant tide system that's bringing that water back out, cleaning it up, it can be pretty tough to clean it up. And so what you see is the problem that we have is there's too many nutrients in the water. And so with those nutrients being in the water, it causes algae blooms. And so what happens is the sunlight isn't able to puncture through that. And, what happens is that grass dies. And so we have seen, you hate to use the word, but catastrophic level of this grass die, over 90%. And so we have so many good people here in Florida that are working on that, trying to replenish that, because there's a lot of, that's the main source of food for manatees. And so seeing manatees struggling with that. On top of that, that's what makes the fish feel safe. I've just seen, like you asked me the other day, finding a little bit of seagrass here and there, finding fish, how they act completely different. They feel so much safer when they're in their natural habitat, when they have that grass. because they're able to hide from predators like sharks, dolphins, things like that. And what we've experienced the last few years when we didn't have that seagrass is either the fish die or they move on. They move to greener pastures, unfortunately.
But there is definitely some comeback. We're starting to see some grass coming back. And there's a couple of really cool organizations that have kind of started doing sort of that stuff. So one of the big names that we hear a lot in Florida, and it's not so much lagoons, but it's more of like the Everglades area, is Captains for Clean Water.
Yeah.
I know you've been a proponent for those guys. You're a big fan of what those guys do. Tell us a little bit on that mission, what you think about them, because every group is different. Some kind of we're going to do conservation and don't do anything.
Yeah.
There's
too many of those.
Yeah, but what's your kind of thought process about Captains for Clean Water?
They're excellent. They're the best one that I've found yet. I've talked to a lot of the heads of the organization, talked to the front men for the organization, and they're doing an excellent job. Just seeing Florida, whether it was the House or whatever it was, trying to pass a not so great bill.
Oh, and every captain in Florida decided to show up at Tallahassee. It was amazing.
Overnight, I know so many people that dropped everything that they were doing, drove overnight to Tallahassee. For people that aren't from Florida, don't understand, to drive from South Florida to Tallahassee, that's like 9-10 hours. I mean, from here in Orlando, it's about 4.5.
Yeah. And from here to Miami,
and we're in the middle of the state.
Yeah,
they flooded it, and it was such a great movement, and because they have the best interest for Florida at heart. And kind of like what you said, Captains for Clean Water, they're not so much doing the lagoons, because the lagoons are a very isolated, kind of different example, and they're actually setting up kind of a sub organization, which they're still working on, that I've talked with them about, that is going to focus on that. But Captains for Clean Water, they focus on, like you said, the Everglades. Yep. Again, we just talked about, I do a lot of fishing down in Southwest Florida as well, and this is one of the areas that's affected by basically the flow of the water from Lake Okeechobee was made to go further south, go through the Everglades, and what happens is it pretty much naturally it would filter the water, and it would go into what's called Florida Bay, which is in very South Florida. And the problem is Florida Bay has been way too salty for the last 5-10 years because it's not getting that fresh water, because it's being directed out the Caloosahatchee and the St. Lucie rivers. And so that is what Captains for Clean Water is focusing on, because the thing is, it's not just affecting the Everglades, it is affecting basically any body of water, probably level with Lake Okeechobee, every saltwater body of water from the top of Lake Okeechobee down to the Florida Keys. And just from one small thing, it affects about 5 or 7 different different fisheries. And so it's so important. They're doing such an excellent job of trying to basically restore that flow, restore some of that flow, and so that these fisheries can be better off.
Can you tell that he's a little passionate about this?
I could go on this for hours.
But see, this is the really cool thing, and this is why we wanted to start the show, is someone like Austin works here, right? If you call in and you need microwave 20, he'll get you a microwave 20. But if you want to learn more about the fisheries, if you want to learn more about fishing, if you want to learn more about being a fisherman or a conservationist or anything like that, we have all these great people that work here. And part of the show is to kind of bring you guys on and to showcase that sort of stuff. So, like I said, if you guys have questions, Austin, if they have questions about any of the stuff on the show, how could they email you to maybe get some more answers?
Yeah, so they can reach me at my name, Austin, AUSTIN, at americantackle.us. That's my email address. We're here 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, Eastern Time. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Obviously, you can tell from this video, I love talking about all this stuff. I get to do it every stinking day. Yeah. I love it. So ask me any questions that you might have.
Also, if you need to order, Austin is great.
Yeah,
Austin is awesome. Austin's on the phone. You're on the phone all the time.
Yeah,
we're cubicle buddies, so we kind of sit pretty close to each other, and I hear Austin constantly on the phone. It's awesome. And he's also an FSU fan, but don't hold that against him. Don't do it.
3-0, baby.
So is Georgia.
That's true.
We're going to move on just a little bit real quick. Yep. However, I do want to say one thing. We started a thing called the Rethink Program, and we started getting our shipping stuff, because this was something that was brought up. We changed how we're shipping stuff. So a lot of our customers out there have kind of started to see the paper bags with the labels. Yeah. You realize that we got rid of over, I think it was 300,000 single-use plastic bags?
Yeah, I mean, which is it's
crazy.
Huge. It's so huge. And again, as you can tell, I am so passionate about conservation. We have 10 other people, I should say, that work here as well that are so passionate about conservation, especially here in our home state, but not just our home state, you know. And so to see our company, to be honest, we have taken some hits for going to this new Rethink program. I'll be honest with you. We've gotten some people that haven't been happy about it, but we're going to keep doing it because we think it's right and it's the right thing to do.
Well, because if our fisheries go away and the fish go away, then we really don't have jobs.
Yeah, what do we have to do? I was going to say we can go fit. No, we can't
go fishing.
So,
as always, again, Austin, thank you so much. We'll get into questions and answers, but we always do this every episode. We showcase the new This is Rodbuilding. So basically, if you guys haven't been paying attention to our social media, because I have been blowing this up a lot, is we have a brand new series called This is Rodbuilding, where our European branch manager, Gary Binney, hops on there and does some really cool rod building. So in the first episode, we did a saltwater 4-in rebuild, which was really cool. It was funny. We as soon as it went live, you could hear all of the screens playing it across all the sales floors and stuff. And it was really funny because you're like, all of a sudden you'd hear out of the corner, oh, that's actually a really cool tip. I'm going to use that next time. So even us, we're still learning about rod building every day. But on this episode, he gets a challenge about a featherlight. So really quick, let's take a look at the teaser for episode 2 of This is Rod Building. About that episode.
Me too.
It's going to be really fun. I always love it when Gary gets challenged.
I love challenging Gary.
I know. It's actually really funny because the amount of times we talk to Gary, even though he is in Sweden.
It's like he's
we
just
mess
here
with
us
all the time. But it's really funny because he'll come over here.
Him jabs.
You have to. If you don't, you really don't like the guy.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really cool episode. He gets into a featherweight build for, I think it's perch, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But he does some really cool decisions on what he picks as far as some of the different products that we have for him to kind of do that sort of stuff with. So, again, guys, if you're not tuned in there, head over to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell on that when you subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode on there. It'll be all over social media, because it always is. But make sure you guys follow up. If you ask questions on those videos, Gary will be hopping on that series to answer those questions directly. Because I think there was a couple guys asking about the OD or the ID of the EVA grip versus the OD of the blank, and if he had to ream it out or because of the pressure
if it was
fit.
Ready to.
So if he had to tweak anything. So I don't know. I didn't build the rod, and I'm not really used to the pressure fit. I usually just do the ream it out, but it makes sense because of how crazy fast that taper is.
Especially on top of that, you got to think with some of these guys when they're building production, they're building 200 rods at a time.
Oh my gosh!
You don't want to keep reaming. You just want to slide that sucker on there and
just go. But I will say, it takes me 200 times longer to build one rod. So I'm sitting there just taking it's not good. I'm getting faster though. For all the people that give me
takes time and
mess
practice
with me a little bit, because I always get somebody randomly talking about how I'm not the greatest rod builder, and I totally understand that. But I'm surrounded by really good dudes.
Can we also go back to just how official you sound with the whole ring the bell, subscribe, and everything like that?
I've had
super
to do
official
it.
Sounding.
I did it when before I moved here. We've got to get the bell rung. Ring. I'm gonna go to camera 2. Am I on camera 2? Are we zoomed in on camera 2? We're gonna switch it up. Ring the bell.
This man is serious.
Subscribe.
Shame on you.
This is specifically YouTube because it's on Facebook right now. So anyway, but ring the bell.
Shame on you.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the favorite section of everybody. Oh, you zoomed way in. I got the stream over here.
That is great.
You
can even see the little bit of
my hair.
The hair falling down. I like that.
Woo! All right, let's pull it over. Let's get into some questions. Austin, these are going to be for you. On your toes, my friend.
I feel like I'm on Jeopardy.
All right, so John Graves, what's going on? Mr. Crowley is in here. Steve Greathouse.
All right.
Big fan.
Some dudes.
The man, the myth, and snook legend, Austin.
Who's that?
That's from Jim Crowley.
Crow, thank you.
HFF Custom Rods, a great place to pick up all of your needs if you need anything. They're a great group of guys, family owned, family run.
Yep.
Up there in Michigan.
Yep.
So if you're up
Joe and Steve, great guys.
Absolutely. We see them at ICRB all the time. They kind of set up shop next to us, and it's a blast. They have a really cool announcement coming up, but I can't say anything yet.
They're doing good.
Steve, what equipment, rod reel wise, do you need for these fisheries?
Yeah, so like what I'm using over like on the Space Coast, these small estuaries. It's a lot of flats fishing, not a whole lot of oysters, unless you're fishing up in the mangroves. There's not a lot to get broken off on. So you can use a smaller reel, 2500 size 3000 spinning reel, pretty much any size low profile bait casting reel. You can use 10, 15 pound braid. And you do great. And I'm talking like catching up to, I think just outside the door, there's a picture of Alex Heim, who works here. He's got about 45-inch redfish that he caught on a 3000 size reel with 10-pound braid. I think it was 10 pound.
It is a monster of a fish.
Yeah, and on a rattling shrimp. So you have a lot of room for them to run, which is nice. Whereas like when I go down to Southwest Florida, I'm doing more 4,000, 5,000 size tackle. I'm throwing a little bit bigger rods, like a Mag Bass 7/8, 12 to 20, an LS 7/6, 12 to 25, that kind of thing. Throwing 30-pound braid, 50-pound fluorocarbon, because you're dealing with a much more kind of compacted area, and at the same time, snook and tarpon can rub through 20-pound leader like it's nothing. It's like sand. Their mouth is like sandpaper. So, and when you've got a 70-pound tarpon jumping 6 feet out of the water all over the place.
Poor Don had to deal with 100+ pound, and actually Patrick was overfishing and got 100-pound tarpon when you went out down there.
Just a little bit further north of me. Just as the crow flies, I think about 40, because I was actually down there at the same time.
Well, Steve, thanks for the great question. Hope that answered it. If not, email him.
Yeah. You know where I am, Steve.
Yeah. Jen Wong. Hi, guys. Hey, John. John, I know you know him.
I was going to say throw up a gang sign for Jen Wong.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Don Morris, the MW20. Microwave guides Steve. Microwave guides are the best as far as I'm concerned. I use them on all my O2N builds. Yep. John, how do you pronounce his name?
Keogh.
It's Keogh. Okay.
Jonathan Keogh.
I love the tidal waves. Don Morris has.
He makes his own beer. He's the man.
Oh, that's right. He does. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We had an
I think
ICRB,
he just won an award. Yeah, and he just won. I think he just won an award or something for it.
Rodbuilder, award-winning beer maker. And he kind of winning at that point.
He's a really good cook too, like smoking like meats and stuff like that. The guy has a lot of hobbies.
I saw the best joke ever. I saw the best joke ever. And when a man hits 30 years old, he has to choose between two paths. It's either smoking meats or World War II history.
Yeah. Or fishing.
Well, I think you can just keep going with that.
Yeah.
John
I'm just kidding. We won't add on to that.
Thanks, Austin. I have the same blank on the bill. Oh, Don Morris with the real snob comment. John Graves, a real snob.
John is the man.
Lee Evans. Hi, a little late.
There's Lee.
Steve.
Lee up in Pennsylvania.
Steve, you definitely need to try Bushido braid. It's amazing.
It's great stuff.
You can pull a truck out of the mud with it.
I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to take your word for it.
We should try that. Braid is awesome in the salt as well. Talking about conservation, Steve, big conservation here out in Missouri.
Yeah.
Started using braid this year. Way to go, Floridians. From John Graves. Joe Haywood. Love the paper bags. We do too. We're a big fan. Joe. Enjoy this from Scott Kleppy. Kleppy. Enjoyed listening to Austin. Great information. And this is the cool thing, guys. If you call in, it may not even be about product that we have. We'd love to talk to you about product, but the cool thing and what I think really differentiates us from just about everybody else is we'll have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
We're not trying to hammer a product down your throat. We're not trying to force a sale out of you. There's times I hear him and he'll be randomly talking about, let's see, it's either football, conservation, random movie trivia, which by the way, Austin is our in-house movie aficionado. Like the man is his own IMDb. Like he just is. So he'll be talking about that. But it's great because we'll have you hear like great conversations, and we build a really good relationship with our customers.
Yeah, that's like awesome. A lot of us like our titles, Don Morris, Alex Funky, and my title is technically sales and technical support. But we like to consider ourselves like account specialists. We manage a lot of accounts because it really isn't just about the sale. We all just really like getting to come here, get to talk to all you people about fishing, sell you some stuff, get paid for it. So it's the dream job.
I'm not going to lie. It's a horrible, amazing job.
It's a dream
It's
job.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, we've got some cool stuff coming up here probably the next month or so that we'll tell you guys about soon. Very, very soon, but it makes our job pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that almost covers Daniel. How do you land a large tarpon like Austin on a Van Staal VR? There is a huge running joke. I'm going to keep it an inside joke, but if you ever see Austin in the flesh, just say, how is Van Staal treating you? That's all I want you to do from here on out. So all of you fans that are going to ICRBE this year, Austin will be there. Ask him about his Van Staal.
Again, I will say VR50 is awesome. It's not a negative thing about Van Staal.
No, it's just really funny.
It's just they like to mess with me. Yeah, Patrick.
Tattoo?
Yeah, Patrick actually he did a Photoshop picture where I have a tattoo of the Van Staal logo. It's not Photoshop.
I think when I started here, that was like one of the very first things people asked me to go ask you was like, go ask him about his Van Staal sponsorship.
Buy one Van Staal. It's even like the cheapest one too.
Oh, it's great.
I do love that reel though. I'll tell you what.
It's a good reel.
The tarpon and snook that I've caught on it. It's been a great reel. Holds a lot of 30-pound Bushido braid. Yeah.
And on that note, we're going to go ahead and talk about our giveaway this week. The giveaway winner last week was notified, so if you did not get an email, I'm sorry you did not win. However, every single live show, we're going to give away something cool. So
this week, I believe it's your green Chevy Silverado, right?
First off, it's a GMC Sierra.
Whatever,
calm
that's
yourself down.
It's the same thing.
It's not. They're
It's
badges.
the same thing.
Yeah, a lot of us drive trucks here, so we have to give each other a lot of. He's over here in a Toyota
Titan.
It's still a Toyota.
No, Nissan.
Oh, it is a Nissan. I don't know. They're all the same. Yeah. Anyway. As you can tell, we're having lots of fun during a live show. But let's do the giveaway. So this week, it's getting a little cooler. It's getting a little. Granted, it's 90 degrees here in Florida, but we don't have fans in Florida. So this week, we are giving away the AT Scales hoodie. This thing is awesome. I am a massive fan of this. I don't know how tall I am in this, but I'm going to try to bring it down a little bit. But the really cool thing about this is there's a real cool rubberized texture.
Yeah, that pattern is so cool.
This is so awesome.
Really cool design.
Actually a texture. Can we switch to the tighter camera so maybe you can see it a little better? You
can see it okay, but I bet we'll be able to see it better on this one.
Yeah, got to get that tight camera. Here but can't connect. Oh, we might be having some issues. Guys, if you guys can hear me, sorry, we'll upload the full version of this so you guys can see a little bit more. But I don't know, is it switched over here? Can we see it all nice and tight? There we go. Boom.
Look at that.
It's good looking. It's got a really cool texture, and this thing is warm.
Yeah.
For you guys up north, this is a go-to. So check the description of the video. We will be able to set you guys up there. You can just sign up. It's your name, first name, last name, and your email, and you get signed up. So 1 entry per person. If you guys have any questions about that is over on our Angler Products website. I believe, if not, it should be coming up here shortly. Yep. Patrick is giving me the no, so it should be up there eventually. We'll get that up there, but have a chance to win it. So with that being said, Austin, pleasure.
Yeah, happy to do it.
It was awesome. We'll definitely have to have Austin back here. We'll have to figure out something else to talk. What do you think we should talk about next?
Movies.
Oh, we'd be here for years.
Fishing movies.
Fishing movies?
Yeah.
The river runs through it?
The river runs through it. Everyone says that one
Does
first.
Jaws? Jaws count as a fishing movie?
We'll count it.
What else is a good Deep Blue Sea? Is that a good fishing one? Okay. All right, guys, with that, my name is Kevin. I'm your host for today with American Tackle Live Question and Answer. Again, thank you, Austin, for being my amazing special guest this time. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks, everybody.